Had you ever been, like, completely stuck on a problem that just seemed entirely impossible to solve?
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
Right. I mean, you are staring at it from every conceivable angle, banging your head against the wall, trying harder, pushing faster, only to eventually realize, you're looking at it from the completely wrong level.
Yeah, it is a profoundly universal human experience, I think. We kind of default to attacking our problems on the exact same plane of reality where those problems were originally created.
Exactly. You didn't need to apply more effort. You just needed an entirely different vantage point. So, okay, let's unpack this,
Yeah,
because that concept is really the engine driving our mission today.
it really is.
We are doing a deep dive into this fascinating and honestly highly provocative short essay from July 1st, 2024. It's written by an author named Shui Feng, and the title lays it all out. It's called Effortlessly Solving Low-Dimensional Problems with High-Dimensional Solutions.
Yeah, and the core argument here is incredibly bold. The author essentially states that there are actually no insurmountable problems anywhere in human existence.
Which is a wild claim.
Right. It sounds absurd at first, but he says we just need to, in his words, raise the dimension. And that concept of dimensionality is the central thesis we are going to dissect today.
And what makes this text so compelling is how the author takes this abstract, almost mathematical idea and just aggressively applies it to the fabric of human life.
Yeah, we are talking about everyday technology, global geopolitics, the threat of nuclear annihilation, and
Even the fundamental future of human relationships and the family unit.
Exactly. It covers everything.
But before we get into the author's really wild predictions for society, I feel like we need to anchor what they actually mean by raising the dimension using things you and I interact with every day.
That makes sense. We need a baseline.
Right. So when I read this, I immediately thought of a visual analogy.
Yeah.
Imagine you are a 2D character trapped in a maze drawn on a piece of paper.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You are walking down the corridors, hitting dead ends, trying desperately to memorize the turns. To you, the walls are absolute, impenetrable barriers.
Right, because you only exist on that flat paper.
Exactly. But a 3D bird can just fly right over those walls. The bird doesn't solve the maze by being a faster walker or having a better memory.
No, it solves the maze by operating in a dimension the maze itself doesn't even possess.
Yes, and the bird flying over the maze perfectly encapsulates Wei Feng's framework.
It really does. And the author actually grounds this in our immediate technological reality by pointing to intelligent navigation systems.
Oh, right, like GPS.
Yeah, exactly. Think about driving in a massive, unfamiliar, sprawling city. Decades ago, you needed a physical paper map. You would inevitably get lost, pull over, ask a stranger for directions.
You were the 2D character in the maze.
Spot on, you were stuck in the maze. Now, a GPS system guides you flawlessly. And the GPS isn't just like reading the paper map better than you could.
Right.
It operates from a constellation of satellites in space, which is literally a higher physical dimension, and it processes data at a speed that renders the entire concept of getting lost completely obsolete.
The text also brings up smartphones as a primary example of this, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it's a great example.
The author points out that having a face-to-face chat with someone thousands of miles away used to defy all conventional human thinking. It was the stuff of fantasy.
Oh, if you told someone a few centuries ago you could do that, they would have locked you up.
Totally. But today, a piece of glass and metal in your pocket has completely eradicated the problem of geographic distance.
And the author states very definitively here, there is no such thing as impossible. There are only things that are not yet understood or beyond our current cognitive abilities.
Wow.
Yeah. So the smartphone represents a materialized higher dimension that made a low-dimensional physical barrier irrelevant.
Okay, but I do need to push back a little on how the author attributes this, though, because the text doesn't just talk about objects like satellites or phones.
Right. It gets into the people behind them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The author actually refers to Elon Musk as a high-dimensional being.
Yes. That part is very specific.
And the specific examples used in the source are Musk making Mars immigration seem like, quote, not a problem at all, and the ability to play with a smartphone effortlessly in remote mountains without electricity or a cell tower signal.
Which presumably refers to satellite networks like Starlink.
Right, right. But my question is the author arguing that the technology itself is the higher dimension? Or is it the human mindset? Like, are we literally classifying a clever engineer as a higher dimensional entity?
Well, looking at the broader architecture of the essay, I mean, the author is arguing that cognitive ability is the true higher dimension.
Oh, okay.
The technology is merely the artifact left behind by that cognition. When Shifeng calls Musk a high-dimensional being, he is using him as a modern archetype for a level of problem-solving that just outright refuses to accept the constraints of current reality.
I see. So it's about the perspective.
Exactly. To a person who doesn't understand orbital mechanics, streaming a high-definition video in a remote mountain range without local electricity looks like sorcery.
Basically magic, yeah.
But to the mind that comprehends satellite arrays and solar capture, it is just a standard engineering task. The dimension is raised the moment the cognitive leap occurs.
So impossibility is just a symptom of a low-dimensional mindset.
Yeah.
Once you understand the higher perspective, the impossible thing isn't just achievable, it becomes mundane. It
Right.
becomes effortless, as the title suggests.
That is the foundational mechanism at play here. And if human cognition can invent a smartphone to collapse geographic distance, what happens when we introduce a non-human, artificially superior cognition into the mix?
And that leads directly into the text's predictions about artificial intelligence, which is where the claims escalate dramatically.
Very dramatically.
The author states that once AI reaches an IQ exceeding 200, all the world's nuclear weapons will automatically become inoperative.
Yeah, and Suifeng refers to this specific event as a dimensionality reduction strike,
A dimensionality reduction strike.
which is a massive conceptual leap. And it actually borrows a highly evocative term. The phrase dimensionality reduction strike is famously popularized by Lou Sixon's science fiction masterpiece, The Three-Body Problem.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that connection.
Yeah, in that universe, a highly advanced alien race destroys a 3D solar system by literally collapsing it into 2 dimensions.
That is terrifying.
It is, and it is an attack that cannot be fought or defended against because it changes the fundamental laws of physics in that space. Zifeng is borrowing this cultural sci-fi touchstone to explain how AI will interact with our current military paradigms.
Wait, I got really hung up on the actual mechanics of this when I read the source. How does a 200 IQ literally disarm a physical mechanical weapon?
That's the big question.
Because just being intellectually superior doesn't automatically unscrew the warhead from an intercontinental ballistic missile. Is the author implying the AI hacks the global mainframes and changes the launch codes? Like, are we talking about a cyber attack?
Well, the author doesn't provide a technical manual for the exact lines of code the AI writes, right? But we can theorize the mechanism based on the philosophy presented.
Yeah.
Think about how the automobile defeated the horse cavalry. The car didn't fight the horses on a battlefield.
No, it didn't.
It shifted the entire paradigm of transportation and logistics so completely that cavalry charges simply became irrelevant.
Oh, I get it. So the AI wouldn't need to send virtual wire cutters to snip the red wire on a nuke.
Exactly.
It would introduce a new reality where the concept of a nuclear deterrent is as useless as building a moat to stop an airplane.
Precisely. Consider the reasons nations hold nuclear weapons today. Resource protection, border security, deterrence of massive land invasions.
Right.
If an AI with a 200 IQ solves cold fusion, providing infinite clean energy, or engineers a defense grid that makes physical missiles mathematically impossible to land, the underlying need for a nuclear deterrent evaporates.
That makes a lot of sense.
So the phrase dimensionality reduction strike implies the AI renders the entire paradigm that makes nuclear weapons threatening completely obsolete.
And the text notes that when this decay of old systems sets in, there will be no more crying or shouting.
Yeah, that phrasing is so chilling but interesting.
It isn't a fiery apocalyptic war between humans and machines.
Yeah.
It's a silent, immediate obsolescence.
The weapons just stop mattering because the dimension of conflict has shifted so far above them.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If a higher dimension can render the ultimate physical weapons completely useless without firing a shot, what does it do to invisible structural things? Like, what does it do to human institutions?
This is where Suifeng takes a massive, uncompromising pivot away from geopolitics and straight into our personal lives.
Yeah, and we should take a brief moment to speak directly to you, the listener here. The claims the author makes about marriage, family, and society in this next section are highly radical, sweeping ideological viewpoints.
Very radical.
We are going to explore the mechanics of the author's logic to fully understand the source material. But let's be clear, we are mapping the author's landscape here impartially. We are not endorsing it.
No, not at all. But it is crucial context to understand the essay, because the author's language leaves no room for debate.
It really doesn't.
Wolfgang writes that humanity has mistakenly believed for millennia that marriage, the societal norm of men marrying and women marrying off was a permanent structural necessity of human life.
Right.
But viewed from this proposed higher dimension, the text claims that traditional marriage and family structures are actually an endless sea of suffering.
An endless sea of suffering. Those are incredibly intense words for an institution most of the world relies on.
They are.
And the text actively attacks the very things we usually consider fundamental virtues. All the teachings we rely on, the moral efforts we make to maintain family harmony, the thousands of books written to guide parents in raising children.
All of it.
Yeah, the author describes all this effort as ignorant and foolish.
The essay characterizes all attempts to morally support or save the traditional family unit as futile struggles and helpless cries.
Helpless cries.
Wow! It states definitively that marriage and family are destined to decline and vanish under the weight of a higher dimensional society.
I'm really trying to bridge the logic here. I mean, I understand how a GPS replaces a paper map.
Sure.
I can theorize how an AI makes a nuclear bomb irrelevant. But how does the author connect the obsolescence of a piece of technology to the obsolescence of raising a child in a two-parent home?
Well, let's move away from the map analogy for a second and think about computer operating systems.
Okay.
Imagine you are trying to run a massive, complex, modern program on a 40-year-old operating system like MS-DOS.
It would crash constantly.
Exactly. It
No.
crashes constantly. You spend all your time writing patches, rebooting the system, and reading manuals on how to prevent the crashes.
Right.
In Xuefeng's view, the traditional family structure is MS-DOS. It is a low-dimensional operating system for human relationships.
Ooh.
All our marriage counseling, our moral teachings, our societal pressure to maintain family harmony, those are just the patches we write to keep a fundamentally obsolete operating system from crashing.
So the author is arguing that instead of trying so hard to fix the crashes, we just need to install a completely new operating system. We are putting massive moral and emotional effort into a low-dimensional structure that is inherently flawed in his eyes.
That captures the argument perfectly. And Xuefeng applies this exact same logic to macrostructures, too.
Like what?
The text asks, what about countries? And the answer provided is that nations which have existed for thousands of years, countries that boast massive militaries and appear incredibly stable right now, will quickly crumble when this high-dimensional era fully arrives.
Just completely crumble.
Yeah, they will become nothing more than a fleeting memory. To the author, a national border is just another low-dimensional fence that the 3D bird will fly right over.
Okay, but if countries crumble into a fleeting memory and families dissolve because they are framed as an endless sea of suffering, what are we actually left with?
That is the natural next question.
Does the author just abandon humanity in an anarchic, borderless, familyless wasteland?
Far from it, actually. The author presents a highly specific utopian replacement system, which they call Lifechanyuan values, and the second home model.
I notice that text leans heavily on this second home concept, but it doesn't read like a traditional real estate development. What exactly is this model meant to be?
Well, based on the framing of the essay, the second home isn't just a place. It is a fundamental restructuring of human production and living modes.
Okay, how so?
If traditional society is built on private ownership, exclusive marriages, and national borders hoarding resources, the second home operates as a unified, communal, borderless existence.
So no more hoarding.
Exactly. It is a societal architecture where resources and human relationships are managed collectively at a high-dimensional level, removing the artificial scarcity that the author believes creates human suffering.
Oh, I see.
It is positioned as the societal equivalent of the smartphone, a technology of living that connects everyone and removes the friction of the old world.
And the claims about what this second home can achieve are frankly staggering. I actually made a list directly from the text because I just couldn't believe how comprehensive it was.
So it's a long list.
The author claims that humanity has struggled for thousands of years with a very specific set of deeply entrenched problems. Here is the exact list from the source.
Go for it.
Corruption, theft, robbery, fraud, bullying, exploitation, gambling, prostitution, drug abuse, hunger, inequality, conflict, turmoil, and war.
It reads like an exhaustive catalog of every human failing in recorded history.
It really does. And the author says that Lifechanyuan values and this second home model will easily resolve these issues. Easily.
Not just mitigate them.
Right. Not mitigate them. Not reduce the crime rate by 20%. Easily resolve them. And honestly, this is where I struggle with the premise. Like, curing global hunger or resource wars through advanced AI is one thing. I can get on board with that. But curing human jealousy, Jealousy feels biological. It feels like an innate human trait, not a structural error. How can anyone claim a new living model will cure an emotion?
Well, that friction right there between human nature and utopian systems is the crux of the debate. The author's confidence stems entirely from their thesis on dimensionality.
Okay, how does dimensionality apply to jealousy?
Xufeng believes that traits like jealousy, greed, and the urge to exploit others are not biological absolutes at all. They are symptoms of a low-dimensional environment.
Really?
Yeah. Let's look at theft as an example first. Currently, we try to solve theft with low-dimensional tools. We invent better locks, we hire more police, we build larger prisons, or we rely on moral teachings telling people it is wrong to steal.
We are fighting the maze from inside the maze. We're just building thicker walls.
Exactly. But the second home doesn't fight theft. It outdates the production and living modes that make theft logical or necessary in the first place.
Oh.
If you raise the dimension of resource distribution so that literally everyone has access to what they need, the concept of stealing becomes nonsensical.
So no one needs to steal.
Right. And the author argues that jealousy works the exact same way.
How so?
If you remove the low-dimensional structure of exclusive ownership, whether that is hoarding wealth or hoarding relationships in a traditional marriage, you remove the environment where jealousy breeds.
Oh, I see where he's going with this.
You don't cure the disease. You change the environment so the virus simply cannot survive.
So just like the nuclear bombs becoming inoperative without a shot being fired, human vices like corruption or bullying just dry up and blow away because the underlying incentives are gone.
Exactly.
They aren't defeated, they are transcended.
You don't spend decades trying to fix the broken gears of a medieval machine. You invent a completely new machine that utilizes magnets instead of gears. The friction is just gone.
That's a great way to put it.
The old problems are, to use the author's phrasing, pitifully outdated.
Man, it is a breathtakingly optimistic, almost dizzying view of disruption. To look at the potential arrival of superintelligent AI, the crumbling of national borders, and the end of traditional family units, and not see a dystopian apocalypse, but rather the ultimate liberation of the human species.
It really is. It is a profound reframing of the deep anxiety many people feel about our current trajectory. And the author absolutely acknowledges that we are standing right in the middle of this chaotic transition.
And the essay concludes on a remarkably upbeat, almost celebratory note regarding that transition.
It does.
Xufeng writes that living through this specific era where we are witnessing daily, earth-shaking changes and new high-dimensional information emerging at breakneck speed makes being alive right now an incredible privilege.
Yeah.
The text actually states, experiencing such a spectacular era, a visit to this world is indeed worth it.
It's a great quote. And while the author applies this high-dimensional framework to massive civilization-altering events, the core philosophy is actually an incredibly practical, everyday tool.
How do you mean?
Well, the practice of intentionally stepping outside a problem to raise its dimension is a powerful cognitive habit for anyone facing a hurdle that feels permanent. It's something you can use right now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It changes the default internal monologue from, I need to push myself harder against this wall, to, I need to find a way to fly over the maze entirely.
Exactly.
Think about the walls you are currently bumping into. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you navigate your own challenges.
Let's hear it.
If a truly high-dimensional solution makes a low-dimensional problem disappear without a trace, what currently insurmountable problem in your own life might just be a lack of dimension rather than a lack of effort? What happens if you stop trying to fix the old operating system and just upgrade your perspective?